I watched one of your videos and it rang so true to me, and it was about the Red Bull. So what's the
Yeah.
number one mistake small restaurants make with their marketing? What aren't they doing, or what are they doing wrong?
Wow, there's a lot of mistakes there.
Yeah.
Let's think the number one. I think the biggest mistake is that restaurants are using today's marketing opportunities. And what I mean by that is email, text, and social media mainly. And they're using it how they would use a money mailer coupon 25 years ago. If you go back 25 years, you go back to 1999, Matt Plapp walking into Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue and catering, and I'm like, hey, Deuce, we want to run some radio ads for you. I'm going to help you build an advertisement. The only focus of that is to sell your restaurant on my airwaves. What has happened is people have tried to replace that with digital media. And if somebody is a fan of your Facebook page for your restaurant, they're not on there to be sold food every time they turn around.
Right.
And so that's what the biggest mistake I've seen happen. I kind of call it the money mailer effect, is that every single restaurant can reflect, which, by the way, that went out of business a few years ago. I don't know if it's back or not, but when it went out of business, this guy that I know, sidebar, started another direct mail company. I'm like, don't you see the trend here? It's going digital. But we've all had that conversation where you've sat down with a rep and built an advertisement. Well, people are trying to replicate that on social media and email. And if I'm a fan of your restaurant and you email me every single week a reason to come eat at your restaurant, I'm eventually going to opt out. But if you engage with me differently, engage with me why I'm on the platform. And so the Red Bull video you're talking about, it's up to like 7 million views, I think. That was at David Scott Peters conference I guess it was about a year ago,
I
year
need
and a
an
half
intro
ago.
to him, by the way.
Oh, I got you. It's awesome. You need to speak at his event. He does some great events with great owners. The guy is legit.
Yeah.
He's the best out there. But DSP, I was at his conference, and I stood up on stage, and I basically said, if I go to Red Bull's Instagram account or Facebook, they're not selling Red Bull.
Right.
If I go to your restaurants, all you're selling is pizza. Every day, pizza. If your place is called, barbecue or pizza or burgers, I have a pretty good clue what the hell you do.
Right.
So you got to meet your customers on the platform for the reason they're there. And it's like, my wife is not on TikTok right now on the sofa at the house. That's what she's doing right now, chilling, I bet. She's not on there to look at food. She's on there to sometimes look at food, how it's made, but she's on there to consume content. And the more content people consume of yours, the more you get put into
It
the
either
algorithm.
has to be entertaining or educational to get them coming back to watching. And that's I think you're right on there with people just posting pictures and say, come in and try our new special. It's not going to cut it. You need to engage the customer. And that's something I learned from your guys, you and Scott, is when you make a post on Facebook or something, have something that they can engage with. Guess how many candies in the bottle? What's your pet's name? Something that they can engage with. It doesn't have to be always about a slab of ribs or a slice of pizza or something like that.
And it's tough to understand that. And I reflect back, everything that I preach to people is from trial and error.
Right.
If I'm telling you something that I know is correct like this, it's because I did it incorrectly for a long time. And I reflect back in the 2016 to 17 time when I started scaling this company. I'm like, great, I've got Facebook, I've got YouTube, I've got a podcast. I'm going to get on here and talk about how badass Matt Plapp and my company is. And so for a year, every time I was on camera, it was how great we were, our results, this, that, and the other. Nobody cared. And so I finally had to take a look in the mirror and go, okay, what can I help? How can I give back? I can give back by teaching people how to do stuff. I had a text message this morning. A lady sent me a video text this morning, and it was triggered because she listened to yesterday's podcast. I do a daily podcast on Spotify and all those platforms, 5 to 15 minutes long, one topic. I've been doing it for coming up on 2 years this June. And every day it's a different topic. Well, 2 days ago, the topic was on how and why to create Facebook ads to acquire customers. And she texted me a little video and said, hey, I appreciate it. You're transparent, the honesty. I really needed to hear this. Thanks for your help. And that would have been Matt Plapp 7 years ago. I'd have been like, hey, click here to buy. Mm-hmm. And so restaurants have to realize the platforms that we have at our fingertips are gold. Twitter with X now, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. email, text marketing, messenger marketing, WhatsApp for some places. It is an absolute gold mine. It's almost completely free. But the only way it works is if you meet your customers on that platform while they're there. I get people all the time. I had a comment this morning. That Red Bull video gets comments every day. And somebody said, this Red Bull, comparing Red Bull to a restaurant is apples and oranges. Doesn't make any sense. I said, well, an apple and an orange are both what? A fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Fruits get used for the same thing. Doesn't make an orange juice or an apple juice differently. It's both a fruit juice. Well, Red Bull and restaurants are both on Facebook or both on Instagram. Your consumers aren't differentiating, oh, this is Red Bull. I expect this. My restaurant, I expect to be sold to. But the big thing that trumps all of this is the number one way to tell that this is correct is your social media content doesn't get engagements.
Right.
And doesn't get engagements because the algorithm, Facebook knows. The only way Facebook makes money is if Matt Plapp is on this platform, if I'm on here scrolling, and if I'm on here scrolling nonstop and looking and stopping and clicking, great. Well, if I don't stop on stuff like your Facebook post for your restaurant, they go, oh, he didn't stop. Let's not show that again.
Right.
Oh, he didn't stop again. Let's not. Okay, we're going to eliminate 47-year-old white dudes that live in that zip code from seeing that restaurant's marketing because none of them are stopping.
Right.
So the ultimate proof is the fact that nobody opens your emails, nobody clicks them, nobody replies to them, nobody comments on your Facebook post, nobody shares it, nobody is truly excited. And it leads back to one big thing, which isn't the conversation here, but it's one big one. That's why nobody wants to work at your restaurant, because they don't know the magic that's happening because you're not telling the story.
Yeah, so much information right there for sure that people really don't understand. I mean, I get that question all the time. Like, Deuce, I love your videos, and then in the next breath they'll be like, "What? Are you making money, or like how does that relate to your business?" Because we never sell catering, we rarely talk about the restaurant, or we'll use the Deuce's Wild products, but it's not like we're pushing it. But it's the attention and the constant being in their feed, that eventually will pay off. And now we're starting to do some monetizing on the platforms themselves, and our business has grown over the last 3 years since we've really been focused on it. And is it all because of what we're doing online? No. We're doing a lot of things right in the business too, but I know it has some impact, and the amount of reach that you can get online way surpasses anything you else could do with a money mailer or anything in your local neighborhood. Some of the neighborhood stuff is is very important too, but it's just so scalable online.
It's my first book that I wrote that I never published was called Create Your Own Radio Station. It was the topic of my presentations I did from 2008 to 2014. And my whole reason behind the name was not to create a radio station, but if you look at why people tune into a radio station or why you buy advertising, it's because people tune in. So you're spending $200 to give this radio station $200 for a 60-second commercial, at least back then it was, because they have people listening to the station. Well, okay, let's narrow that down. Your restaurant is a one-location restaurant in Northern Kentucky. How many people are you actually reaching out that big signal? It's probably a couple thousand. Well, if you have a Facebook page that's done correctly, an email list, a text list, a birthday list, LinkedIn was a big thing I hyped up a lot back then, and people couldn't comprehend it. But if you have all these platforms, you have the ability to cultivate your own radio station. So when you need to sell something, you tap into that. The problem is people are trying to tap into it every day, and they're desperate to make it sell food every day. And I told this example the other day. I have a guy named Peter on my team that travels with me 90% of my trips. Like this trip to Vegas was last minute. I didn't want to drag him out of the office, so he's not here with me. But he travels with me 90% of my trips. His expense for his payroll, the stuff he does, his equipment, his benefits is over $100,000 for me. I have no expectation of anything this year happening with my company that's going to be ROI positive with Peter. Peter exists because I'm building something in 2 or 3 years.
Right.
A lot of things restaurants need to wrap their head around is not everything you have in your marketing world is going to lead to the success. It's like you said, it's not the stuff you're doing on social media that's made your brands grow. Mm-hmm. It's everything.
Right.
It's the culmination of 20 different efforts over a long period of time.
100%.
It's like weight loss. I equate marketing and sales to weight loss, that if you're 100 pounds overweight, You could do a lot of things. You could eat better. You could sleep better. You could manage your stress, your mobility, your flexibility. You could exercise. You could do cardio, weightlifting, CrossFit, whatever it is. But if you do 5 or 6 of those over a 3 to 4 year period, it is impossible that you will not get in shape.
Right.
And it's the same with your marketing. It's like the example in the marketing I love to give is a band director. Because people always ask, okay, Matt, how do I act like Red Bull on Facebook? What am I going to do? I'm like, okay, do you have a high school? I ask you, Deuce, is there a high school near you?
Sure.
Everybody's got high school, right? Your high school probably has a band.
Yep.
That band probably has 100 kids. That band director, if you look at his influence with those kids, with moms, with dads, with step-parents, with grandmas, with neighbors, his influence is 2,500 people in your community. There is one person twice a year that you could use your platform for to help. They do fundraisers. Instead of doing a dime to donate, go to the band room, sit down with him with a bunch of tubas and say, okay, it's Deuce. I'm here at XYZ High School. I'm with Steve. He's the band director of the high school. Steve, you got a fundraiser coming up. First, tell us about the band, how you did last year. Tell us about your kids. How was this impactful on a kid as an adult? Now you're using your platform to market something in the community. Now all of a sudden, those 2,500 people that band director has influence over, all those moms and dads are sharing that now.
Yes.
They're sharing that post on Facebook, and now you're being seen on Facebook for something different. So when you get seen for something different, people pay attention. Then when you do pop in that Wednesday night pizza special, they see it, and they're not like, oh, he's always selling to me. So there's so many opportunities to leverage the platform to create content that entertains people.